There has been a total resurgence when it comes to the Toronto real estate market for the month of September now that we have seen data. I'm Mike Ouzas. I'm a realtor here in the city of Toronto. If you ever want to book in a call to discuss what's been happening on the ground level for Toronto real estate, you click on that first link in the description down below. So many news articles have come out this month talking about the Toronto real estate market and the recovery that it's made from where things were in September and where things were even a year ago today. But it's not all rosy when it comes to the market stats. And we're going to discuss what those numbers look like and talk about them on what we're seeing on the ground level with buyers and sellers out there in today's market. Okay, let's take a look at these numbers. And one thing we're going to see as we go through is that we can spin these numbers any possible way we want. But let's talk about the actual facts on what we're seeing on the ground level. For the Greater Toronto Area as a whole, average sale price year over year is actually down 1%, but sales are up 8.5%. So if you are reading any kind of articles that say that sales are up year over year or prices are down year over year, this is where that comes into play. Another big factor to consider is that active listings are up 35.5%. Now, this is Greater Toronto Area wide. And take a look at months of inventory. 5.13 months of inventory puts us into a buyer's market across the Greater Toronto Area. That being said, it's not the case for all property types. If we take a look at condo sale prices, Greater Toronto Area wide, average price down about 3.5% and sales up about 0.4% from last year. We are seeing prices below where things were back in 2021 on average as a whole. If we come into the city of Toronto specifically, similar story, prices down year over year about 0.5%, which I would argue is relatively flat. And we've talked about that 1.1 number being kind of that hovering amount that we've been seeing all year. Active listings up just over 30% and number of sales up almost 4% year over year. So definitely higher than where things were in September of 2023, same as September of 2022, but down almost half of September of 2021. Months of inventory, again, 5.5%, which is a buyer's market. Now, condos are really leading the way when it comes to inventory here across the board for the city of Toronto. We will get into the Toronto C01 stats a little bit later to really break down what we're seeing here on the market. Looking at this monthly sales data, I know it's a ton of numbers, but overall number of sales up from last year, but pretty much down compared to what we've seen throughout the year, other than August, even down from July. So overall, from a sales perspective, not a ton of sales for the month of September, even though things are up from where they were September 2023. Active listings up almost 8,000 active listings from where things were a year ago. And that's also up to the highest level we've seen all year. In fact, it's pretty much double where we saw things back in March of 2024. Months of inventory at 5.13. This is easily the highest of the year. First time we've eclipsed 5, putting us firmly into a buyer's market. Again, that's driven by condos. An average price at just over 1.1 million, not quite as high as where things were last September or last October of 2023. As we look at the average price compared to the interest rates, and there is a lot of chatter of what's going to happen here in October, but we're not going to predict that on this channel. What we will discuss though is that as interest rates have been coming down, we have been seeing some property types, especially in the higher priced properties. So anything between that $1 to $2 million mark, really playing a factor on sales. And great properties have been selling here in the city of Toronto. And also they've been selling in multiple offers in many cases. Now looking at the benchmark pricing, everything's still in line where you have your detached, semi-detached, townhouses, and condo apartments. If we look at condos, we're pretty much back to where things were in that late 2021 range from an average benchmark sale price. If we look at townhouses, we're pretty much back in line with January 2023. Semis are down quite a bit from where they were at the start of this year. It was a very hot semi market. So we're down kind of where things were at the end of 2023. And you see the ebb and flow here of these semi-detached properties. Same story when it comes to detached, and ebb and flow. And one thing we have been noticing in the detached and semi-detached market, these properties that are renovated in great areas and that are priced really well are selling within days on market, sometimes first day on the market if it's priced really well. Jumping into the property type sector, detached market, we are seeing 4 months of inventory. First time we've seen it this year. That is quite a bit of inventory when it comes to detached market. That being said, the great properties, as we just mentioned, in great areas that are priced well are still moving, but there are many more of them on the market. So they are taking a bit more time to sell. Average price hovering around that high 1.6 range, which is back to kind of that July number, not quite as high as May and June. If we look at semi-detached, and these have been the hottest properties of the year overall, almost at 3 months of inventory, which is not a ton of inventory, still relatively in a seller's market. One thing's for sure is that if you are looking in that 1 million to 1.5 range, competition is definitely there for great properties in great areas, and the properties that are well done and well renovated are moving very quickly. There are a lot of properties on the market right now that are really not in great condition or that have renovations and really don't look that great. And when you really dig into them or go see them in person, those rentals do not look great. Think about putting basically paint over top of paint just to make it look good for photos. And it does look great in photos. And generally those are the ones that my clients will send me. But when we get to see them in person, they do not stand out very well, especially compared to the other well done properties on the market. Average price in and around that $1.3 million range, which taking a look is the highest price for semis that we've seen since May of 2024. When it comes to townhouses, we are back in that $1.2 million range. So it does make sense because row houses are also factored into here. So you may get some really nice row houses, especially in the city, some awesome Victorian homes. Those definitely bring up the price, but months of inventory jumping over 4 for the first time in quite a few months. Basically 1 in 4 properties are selling for rows townhouses. And we get to condos, and this is where it's really becoming evident that there is a ton of inventory for condos right now. Over 7 months of inventory across the board for the city of Toronto, the highest number we've seen of the year and probably one of the highest numbers ever. Over 6,100 listings here and only 860 sales. Basically 1 in 7 condos is selling right now. Average price is still relatively sticky, but we are seeing a downward trend from where we were, especially at the start of this year. Taking an extra look, a deeper dive, Toronto C01 Condos, which is from Bloor to the Water and from Dufferin to Yonge Street. 1,550 active listings, 200 sales, puts us into 7.5 months of inventory, the highest ever. An average days on market just over a month. So condos right now that are listed in the downtown core in some of the greatest areas in the city definitely are seeing a lot of competition from other condos that are out there in the market. And buyers do have choice when it comes time to going to take a look at multiple properties and putting on offers on properties that stand out the most to them. Let's talk key takeaways for September 2024. And if you watch my August video, you see that these are the same keys because I do find them extremely important. There is one asterisk, which we will discuss on the mortgage side. Condo market still remains slow. Opportunities for buyers are definitely out there. If you're a buyer, even considering making a move into the condo market, this is a market that you can go out there and shop, really take your time, and definitely have options out there. Mortgage rates have been going down steadily all month still compared to last month. So we've seen the lowest rates that we've seen in basically 2 years on both the fixed and the variable side. Definitely, if you are considering making a purchase in the next, let's say, even the start of next year, having a rate hold of 90 to 120 days may be worthwhile to at least discussing with the mortgage broker to lock in that rate now. And if rates do move upwards in the next little while, then you'll still have your rate locked in. If they move down, you can continue to lock in at lower rates as you go along, especially if you're considering getting into the housing market. The other factor is the new mortgage rules will come into place on December 15th, 2024. And one thing I do believe is that the $1 to $1.5 million price point is definitely going to see some action. If there's buyers that were in the upper 900 range for condos and didn't quite have the down payment to get them over the $1 million mark right now, those buyers may also be trying to get into the detached or semi-detached market in the city of Toronto, bringing about more competition for that price point. Increase in inventory, definitely more options for buyers as we just mentioned, and months of inventory is up all across the board for all property types. So if you are a buyer and you have even had a consideration of purchasing a property, whether it's your first one or even a step-up property, this market may be worth a look for you. And you could take a look on the listed app link down below to see what things have been selling for and what's currently on the market. And you'll get updated in real time with MLS. So you have it. That's the market update for September. Well, definitely not a resurgence. We have been seeing some activity, especially in the freehold sector of the market. So properties that are detached, semi-detached, or freehold townhomes have definitely seen a bulk of the share of trades for those sales in the month of September and continuing into October. Condos still remaining slow, but if you are a buyer looking to either upsize your condo or get into a new condo, this could be a market where it's definitely worthwhile to at least take a look at your options. Love to hear your comments down below on your thoughts on the September market. I'm Mike Ouzas. Thanks for watching.